New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Free my mind, open my heart with the whispers of truth. To live a conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing edge. On the growing edge.
And now, here's Allie.
Hello and welcome to Growing Edge Live. I'm Allie Benjamin, and it is my great joy to be here today. Whether you're here for the first time, and if you are, I'm happy that you found us, or you're back because you've enjoyed these conversations here at the Growing Edge. I'm really glad that you're back. Here at the Growing Edge, I have conversations with soul-centered individuals that channel their time, their talent, their energy, their resources, their love, their creativity into doing good work in the world. And in today's atmosphere, I think that we all need to hear the good news. And everyone I interview, or it's not so much an interview, everyone I have a conversation with has a light, a unique essence that I find absolutely beautiful and want to share these beauties with the world. And today my guest is no exception to that. Cindy, Reverend Cindy Edelson. You'll get to meet her in a minute and we'll dive deeply into who she is and how she got to be who she is and what she does. But she is my friend. We live fairly close by here at the top of Utah. And she is the spiritual director, the senior minister at the Salt Lake Center for Spiritual Living. And there she is. Mm-hmm. She has a beautiful community of amazing souls that I've had the blessing and the privilege to know and to be a part of for, gosh, it's a couple of decades now. I can't believe it's been that long, but it has. So welcome, Cindy. I'm so glad you're here with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I've been watching the amazing work that you're doing with this channel.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's I was looking at it the other day. It's been almost 3 years. It will be 3 years in May or June that we've been doing this. And about a year in, we went to doing also podcasts, an audio version. And I just got a notification that we did 100 podcasts. So yeah, wow. I feel like we're doing, we're taking this platform to have conversations with people like you and people from all walks of life, really. And it's so refreshing and it's so comforting and inspiring to know that people are living their lives and doing good work and learning how to get over the hurdles of life and find joy and spread that. And so welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So let's hear about you. Where did you grow up and what shaped and formed you into being who you are today?
That's a big question. Let me get it kind of lasered into the beginning of my spiritual life.
Okay.
And that was that I had a group of friends in high school. And before that, let me just say this, I moved around a lot. Mm. We moved from state to state to state, and it wasn't until the last year of junior high and high school that I had the same group of friends. We found this woman on TV, a minister named Terry Cole Whitaker.
I knew you were going to say her name when you said TV. Yeah.
And we didn't know what it was. We didn't know what religion it was. all I know is that we loved it. So we would be in our own houses and we'd watch it, and we'd pick up the phone, back in the day when the cord was still connected. We'd pick up the phone and say, "Did you hear that? Did you see that? Oh my God, I love this." And that was the beginning. That was the very beginning. I would say I was maybe 16 or 17.
Where was this? Where
That
did
was
you
in
go?
Los Angeles, in
Okay.
Southern California, in the Valley. I was a Valley girl. And there was just something about the teaching that really caught our attention. And moving forward, a friend of mine rented a room from this woman in the Valley, and she was a light worker. She was into angels. She was a Jewish woman who was very into metaphysics.
Mm.
Her name is Frida. And I was very curious about her. So I was driving by her house, and I knew my friend wasn't there because he rode a motorcycle and his motorcycle wasn't there, but I stopped. I went up to the door and I knocked on the door. Frida opened it and she said, "Oh, honey, Bob's not here." And I said, I know that. I want to say hello to you." And she just welcomed me in and said, "Can I make you a cup of tea?" We didn't know each other. All I knew of Frida was being in her home. And most of the time when I was in her home, she was traveling the world. And that's why she always had rooms that she rented out.
Mm.
Quite a fascinating woman. So I went in, we sat at her kitchen table and we chatted. And what happened was she said, "There's something so familiar about you. I don't know what it is." And I said, "I feel the same way." Now, this is way before my metaphysical, diving into energy or any of these things, but I had an understanding because I could feel it too. I got on the phone with my mom and I said, "Mom, where in Canada?" My mom's from Montreal. I said, "Where in Montreal did you live?" So I told Frida, and Frida said, "Well, that's where my family lived." So I'm on the phone with my mom. She's at work and I'm talking between those two. And okay, now this is Los Angeles. The San Fernando Valley, if it were a state, it would be one of the biggest states in the world. So very densely populated place. I'm sitting at the kitchen table with Frida, and what we find out is that her grandparents raised my grandmother.
Wow.
That still gets me. My grandmother was the unconditional lover of my soul.
Mm.
And when I think of unconditional love, I call it Bubby love because I called my grandmother Bubby. So just from that conversation, we deciphered all of this, and forever, Frida and I have been connected. She's no longer in this world, in this body, but forever and ever, I will be grateful for her. She's the one that taught me how to meditate. I was 17. And I think she could recognize that there was this lost teenager. I didn't know who I was. I remember her telling me, "Cindy, I see the light in you." And I was like, okay. I didn't understand what she was saying, but she recognized it, and she would give me books to read. She gave me back in the day, a cassette tape with her meditations, and she said, "You have to do this for 28 days so that you form a new habit." She had written poetry books. I call her my spiritual Eskimo.
Mm. Say more about that. Spiritual Eskimo.
So Well, first of all, what I dug into this when I wrote a paper when I was in school of ministry. I wrote a whole paper about Frida, and what I found out is in Canada there were Eskimos, Native people that lived in Canada that were tribal, and they were called Eskimos. And maybe that's why I called her a spiritual Eskimo. I didn't really know that background. That's what I just always called her. Um, she was the person in my life that recognized, um, like I said, my light, my divinity, that there was something more than just this kind of lost teenager. I didn't know who I was, Allie. You know, I was very stuck in that victim consciousness of life, of other people get more than I do. They get it and I don't. And I'm a victim of whatever my circumstance is. But that's not how she lived her life, because she recognized that we're all the creators of our lives. And
It's
she,
so interesting to hear your story and to realize how one person, when we're young, can make such a significant impact in our lives. And I think that there's certain times, I think when we're young, that we need that mirror. We need someone that can help us see what's possible, or who we could possibly be, or it, and that mirror, your spiritual Eskimo, sounds
yes,
like such an amazing gift. It's as though, the universe whispered, Cindy needs this right now. And so, whoever pulls the strings behind the scenes made it happen. And you connected with, I just can't believe the connection of her grandmother and your grandmother. I mean, that
right,
is phenomenal.
right. And you know what? So, in really sitting with this whole story, for me, my grandmother, my bubby, passed when I was 15. Maybe it was I was almost turning 16, and like I was still calling my bubby every day. I called her every day. She wanted to know what happened in my day. She was an advocate and supporter of me being an artist. Um, she knew who I was, and my grandmother was quite a spiritual woman. And I really believe that she was the soul behind the curtain that made that connection. Like she said, my granddaughter needs an extra little push to know who she is. I'm going to make sure that she knows this granddaughter of these people that believed in me, that loved me. Because see, in Canada, they didn't have orphanages, and this was, her mother had died. um, a little bit of background: her father was a very orthodox rabbi. And back in those days, they of course had, she was one of 12 children. So when his wife died, whoever was old enough he sent away. The young ones had to go to other homes, and she went to this home, this family, but they didn't treat her like, someone that they were taking in. They treated her like a daughter. They wanted her to marry their son, but she wasn't in love with their son. And in fact, my grandmother named my aunt after the woman that raised her, Ruth. And so there's such a strong bond and spiritual connection, that when I was, working on my own path and looking at where I came from, it it was undeniable that my grandmother took care of me in that particular way.
Mm.
I remember one time I was in school and I was doing a talk, and all of a sudden I got this big flood of energy and pins and needles and emotion, because it was like, yes, I did that. This is what happened. I wanted to make sure that you um, were going to live the spiritual life that I know that you are meant to be.
Mm.
So it's like the universe conspiring for me to be who I really am meant to be. I
Mm.
could have gone so many other directions, like we all have options in our life. A quick story of me understanding how divinely guided all this was. Frida had a business card and it only said on it, "Expect a miracle."
Mm.
That's what she would hand out to people.
Wow.
So she took this business card and she wrote the name of some books on the back of this card. And I went to San Francisco to go to art school.
Mm.
So I went off to school. I was 19, and I bumped into a community. It was called, they did workshops and retreats and things like this. Well, first of all, it was EST training.
Mm.
And it was a branch off from EST training. And it was this community called the Self-Esteem Workshop. And then they did a consultants training. Anyway, I jumped into that, and I had just finished doing this training, and they had me reading some books for this training. And I was sitting at a bus stop in San Francisco, and I just finished this book, and I'm waiting for the bus. And I said, "Oh, let me clean out my purse and my wallet. I have time here." And I bumped into my card from Frida that said, "Expect a miracle." And I flipped over the card, and the name of the book I just finished was written on that card.
Wow. So it's been like one synchronous happening after another that's sort of given you that knowing or that nudge or that wink from beyond that you're on the right path.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's fascinating and so beautiful. I love it when you see patterns, or we see patterns and make connections like that. And I think so many people don't slow down enough to even consider this. But for those of us that have that knowing or that wanting, we can make those connections over and over again and have those be, the magic that comes from unexpected places. Wasn't it Einstein that said something like, everything's a miracle? Instead of
Right.
thinking one thing's a miracle, what if everything was a miracle?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's so true. And I feel like I'm very blessed that I came into this world with that ability to notice those synchronicities, to notice the guidance that I've always had in my life. And it's not just notice it, but actually obey. And I know some people hate that word obey. Obey it and say, okay, yes, this is what's mine to do.
So if someone's listening right now that is intrigued by this notion, but it's not ever occurred to them, what is it that you would say to them to help them develop this sense?
Oh, that's a great question. So I think for me, it's been a natural process to be curious about my life. Like, how did this occur? Like, how did I bump into someone so profoundly connected to my family and to one of the women that I love the most in my life? I think curiosity is a key component of Not just like saying, well, that's just the way it is. Curiosity about, well, um, if I make like a ladder of my life, from, 0 to where I am now, and I put those key moments on that ladder, there's always something in between each key moment that got me to the next moment. See, I think that I'm fascinated with humanity. I am fascinated with people. I think we are amazing. And I think the only way to, if that's not your kind of the way you show up, just be curious. Just be curious about your life and how things that happened led you to where you are now. And if you can develop the muscle of noticing, what happens for me, at least I know, is now it happens quicker and quicker and quicker. Like when something happens and my mind starts saying, well, that was not what I wanted. Now I can say, oh, well, I know that needed to happen so that I could see X, Y, or Z. So by developing that muscle of curiosity, it'll get easier and easier and easier. If you're not really wired that way, it doesn't mean you can't have it.
And I've got four sisters and a brother, and I saw and have spoken to many people about this kind of thing.
Yes.
And I can see that we're all just wired a little differently. That my brother, for instance, I don't know if I should use him as an example. Well, my sister, for instance, lives way more on the surface. Like this kind of deeper contemplation or curiosity wouldn't necessarily draw her attention. Like it wouldn't be, like she would have to be convinced that there was a benefit to doing this kind of thing, because it would seem like work, to be that curious or whatever.
Right.
So what are the benefits, do you think, to us? And you, like me, we talk to a lot of people. And I'm super curious too. Right. And so I love to be able to make sense of people and who they are and why they do what they do. Why would this practice, if you will, or this magical, wearing these magical glasses or these lenses, why would that be helpful? Like what does it give one when you can live in this way?
That's a great question. And you know what? The way I can answer that is from my salesperson days, Allie. I did sales in the graphic arts industry for many years. The first thing that I would talk to people about is what their pain points are. And if someone is living a life and they've got these pain points that they just haven't been able to resolve, I think that the value is in letting those pain points dissolve so that you can enjoy your life, so that you can see the miracles of life, so that you can enjoy even those little moments. Like this morning, we've got two little 12-pound white fluffy dogs, and they sleep with us. And this morning, I woke up before my alarm, and Poppy, she kind of sat up, and then she leaned against me. And I was like, oh. Just a small little moment like that I can like take in that unconditional love and feel the warmth and feel so blessed by this little puppy dog in my life, because I think that sometimes humanity gets caught in the drama. It has to be some big win or big, big bank account or big new car or, these big grandiose things. But for me, to live a life that I can appreciate. My little dog leaning on me, at 6 a.m. is what I've come to appreciate from doing this work, because, Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith, one of my teachers and where I went to ministerial school, he always starts off with life is good. Like, life is good. Can you really say life is good? I can say this morning in that moment, life is so good. Yeah, I know what's going on out there. But that moment I can be a soul that appreciates the little things. And that brings all that hard work. The other thing that he always said is, he said, once you have an awareness of consciousness, you can never go back. And once you've chosen to live an aware life, it's not going to be easy. I get to do the work every day, Allie, when I'm not showing up the way I'd prefer to show up, in a compassionate, heartfelt, authentic way, that I get to check, say, wait a minute, is that how you really want to be in this moment? Is that where you want to come from? So it's not for the faint of heart, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it to appreciate these small moments and big moments in my life that are such a blessing and so sweet, and so rich, that, in that moment this morning, there is nothing wrong in my world when I have those moments.
Yeah, you're reminding me that it's these small gifts that we can give ourselves by being curious, by paying attention, finding the blessings in everyday life, in the the mundane as well as the magnificent, that actually opens us to be a channel, or a blessing, or helpful or useful in the world. And if only we learned this when we were young, even younger than you at 17, really young, if we were to teach our little ones to be a blessing, or to be useful and helpful in a way that they can learn, to manage. I don't know if manage is quite the right word, but to be aware of their emotional state, to be aware of their, their mental state, so that they can have more agency and, more sovereignty over how they be, how they show up, whether it's in the classroom or, at home with their siblings, parents. And then, to have that self-awareness when we're young. I feel like that would be something that would be really helpful we could call up the education department or whatever and give them this suggestion. I think it would be a good one.
Well, I do know people that are doing that.
Oh, that feels good.
A really good friend of mine, Michael, I met him at Agape Bay Area, and he's out there working in school districts, teaching meditation and mindfulness. So, and, when you said that, I was thinking, well, that's what is ours to do. Yeah. Maybe we don't have little kids in our life anymore, but I have great nieces, that when I'm with them, I can just say, and how do you feel? And notice when they're doing something sweet and kind, and say, and point it out to them, like, I can be that person for them, even if it's, they live in Los Angeles and I live here. I don't get to see them often enough, but I can still be that person to remind them And, we can be that person for whoever walks through our doors. The community at Salt Lake Center for Spiritual Living is older. We don't get a lot of children, and yet, if each adult in that room can touch a child in that way to show them how magnificent they are, and how, something that we're working on is that the kids that come regularly to our community are growing up. They're no longer little kids, they're preteens and becoming teens. And I don't know what's next, but I do know that one of the things that we've visioned about is, instead of them doing an art project on a Sunday, is creating outreach projects that they can go help feed the homeless and collect warm clothes. And that's what they're starting to do. And that just brings so much inspiration and hope. And if the kids can understand how much their lives affect each other, wow, have we done our work, what we're called to do on this planet.
Well, I want to talk more about this. We're going to take a very brief break.
Okay.
And we will be right back in just a couple of minutes.
Super.
Please help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Home Center for Spiritual Living, thesatyacenter, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, come be you. Come expand your spiritual journey. Join us for Just the Talk, Sundays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Experience Unity Kitchener and Ottawa. Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Unity of Garden Park, New Thought Philadelphia, the Sunshine Cathedral, Unity of Savannah, and the Om Center for Spiritual Living. Come unleash your spiritual potential with New Thought Media Network.
Free my mind, open my heart with the whispers of truth. To live a conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing edge. On the growing edge.
And now, here's Allie.
Welcome back. Cindy and me here having a nice chat. I want to hear more about the work you do. You mentioned your community at the Salt Lake Center, that it is an older community, meaning the average age of the congregants, I would imagine. And it's an
Yes.
older community. What's it, 50 years now?
Yeah, over 50 years.
Over 50 years. That's a long time community.
Yes.
So let's talk about the work you're doing in the world. I know you have had a life before you came to the Salt Lake Center. You mentioned Agape in the Bay Area, and your teacher, Reverend Michael, and I know, because I know you, that you also have a very artistic side. You mentioned graphic arts and sales in that arena, but I know you're an artist. And I also know that you work with the energy codes, correct?
Yes.
So I want to hear all about whatever's on the tip of your tongue. Just let me hear about it.
Well, when I was on my path to becoming a minister, I had been in the graphic arts industry, a salesperson, at the same company for 10, 11 years. And I was on the phone with a friend and I said, I am so excited to become a minister, but this job has supported me so well. When it's done with me, I'm ready. And I'm serious, Allie. The next day, I got a call from HR. And the call was, we're downsizing and you're one of the 8 people we're letting go.
Wow.
And I went, okay, I'm ready. So I say that because what was born out of that were a few things. First of all, I was meditating, and a few of my older friends in San Jose were going through changes in their life where they had to downsize from 3-bedroom homes to a 1-bedroom place, and letting it go came to mind. And not just letting it go, the words letting it go, but a whole logo, because I'm more visual. And I'm like, I came out of meditation. I said, oh, I think I'm starting a new business called Letting It Go. And I'm going to help these people. So I entered into this business, and right around the same time, I bumped into Dr. Sue Mortar and Energy Codes. She was one of our teachers in ministerial school with Reverend Michael. And I immediately, distinctly remember the moment where I thought, well, I've been a practitioner for 20 years, but here's more tools in my tool belt where I can help people unlock that those subconscious beliefs that we carry around that end up manifesting in our life over and over. So I jumped into the energy codes work. So when I was no longer working at this corporate job that I worked at, I embarked on two things: letting it go, and I utilized the energy codes teachings to help people unblock those subconscious beliefs, or not really unblocked, but release those beliefs that were driving their life so that they can move on.
Can you share what kind of beliefs are you talking about?
I'm talking about those things that get ingrained in us when we're very young. Like, I can tell you one for myself. I very much look like one of my aunts. And my aunt, she was one of these people that was not a very neat person. She was kind of messy. And my other great aunt used to say, oh, she's just lazy. Well, because I looked like her, she decided, well, I must just be just like your aunt. You're lazy. You're messy. And I took that on. I really believe them. I mean, I must have been, probably 4 or 5 years old. And those are those years that when you install that into a child, it's like installing hardware on their mind. And was it true? No, but I believed it.
Mm-hmm.
Within the energy codes, there's lots of practices, breath work, yoga poses that allow, they call it, there's like a trap in the brain that allow it to open to release those beliefs that no longer serve us. And see, for me, that was a new tool because I had been very used to being a practitioner and counseling with people and praying with people and taking them through their journey. And sometimes they would leave the room and I really felt like, ooh, they got it. There was an aha, there was a moment of clarity. And then they'd come in next week and the same story would come back. And I'd be thinking, how am I going to work around this? So when I bumped into the energy codes, I said, that's it. That's it. I need this extra tool. And the energy codes, some of the work, Dr. Sue was brought up by a chiropractor, very well known, who created something called BEST. BEST, which a lot of chiropractors use. And it was the same reason that he created it. He would adjust people and they'd walk out and be great, or they'd walk out of the office and they would go right back out of alignment. And he was curious and he developed a method with this. It's, let me remember, bioengineer energetic synchronization technique. It's a mouthful. BEST. So there's a way to work with people through, again, different yoga poses, breath work, and words to help open that trap door in the mind so that can be released. The cool part is, once it's released, it's released. You don't have to do years of therapy. I mean, I'm not dissing therapy. I've had my own therapy over the years, but there's something pretty remarkable about understanding the science behind how our minds work. And you know what? My subconscious, I appreciate it. I know that I come from this lineage of very strong women and, my background and Judaism. And there are some things that I like take to heart and say, ooh, I love that about my ancestry and my family. And there's things that simply are not true for me, and are not true for the rest of my family either. I get to be the one to say, nope, cancel, erase. That's no longer going to move us forward. Like many families are born into, or people are born into, oh, well, our family, we all have this disease, or we have asthma, or we have this, or we have that. Who says? We get to be the change makers, and I do believe that by me doing my work, the rest of my family and lineage can move ahead without having that belief already installed in them even when they're born.
So you help people through the work that you do with the energy codes and just being very attuned to being able to hear what people are saying, I would imagine, and the emotions and the feelings behind what they're saying. You help them identify things that are potentially keeping them stuck in patterns or defaulting back to that, out of aligned space, whether it be, you're not a chiropractor, I understand that, but aligned with, would you say, their soul, their deeper blueprint? Is that something?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that the most important thing that I know to do with folks is help them recognize their attunement, their alignment with their soul's purpose. And Dr. Sue calls it project awareness. And I love that, because sometimes I bump into people all the time that say, but I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what I'm here to do. if we all knew that the only thing that we're here to do is be aware with who we really are, that's it, baby. That's all you have to know. And it doesn't mean that you have to be Oprah and be giving away cars and stuff. It means that you get to be here and be a kind, giving, understanding human being, that when someone needs help, you help them.
Beautiful.
One person at a time. Yeah.
So this ministry or this work that you're doing, let it go. And then I know you've got the let it flow. So what's that
Yes.
aspect?
So, and I love how, see, it all interacts with each other, interconnects with each other. So I might have mentioned I went to art school when I was 19. I love art. I love painting. I love photography. And when I was released from that corporate job, I kept visioning for myself, like, okay, what's next for me? And what kept coming back to me was just paint, just paint. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'll paint. And I looked at some studios and it didn't feel like a fit. And then I saw a job listing. Have you ever heard of those paint parties when you go to a paint party? It was a listing to be a paint party leader. And I thought, that sounds like fun. And I get to be abundant with it. So I called the woman, told her my background. She said, you'll be perfect. Come meet me at this paint party. Just watch what I do and how you do it and see if you're interested. And it was a natural fit. In fact, it was such a natural fit for me because it helped me hone my skills at speaking to lots of people. I started with maybe 5 or 10 people in a paint party, but I ended up being the person that she would go to when she had really big paint parties. So I painted with Sony, I painted with the Gap, I painted with big pharmaceutical companies where there would be 100 or over 100 people in the room.
Wow.
I had a microphone, there was a camera on me, I'd be painting. And that's where my letting it flow, my own paint company, came out of. Because I wanted to connect energy codes, being a practitioner, being a metaphysician, with this process that I love, this creativity that I love, because it's almost like 9 out of 10 people that I bump into, when I talk about painting, they say, oh, I'm not creative. I'm like, well, that's the first thing we're going to work on.
That
with
belief.
That belief right there. Everybody is creative. Maybe it's not with paint, maybe it's with problem solving, maybe it's with writing, maybe it's with singing, maybe it's with how you interact with people or work with children. But everybody is creative. So I started my own company so that I can combine my spiritual journey with my love for creativity and painting.
So if someone, do you still do paint parties?
Yeah, I haven't done one in a while, but actually I have one this Friday night with a small group. But yes.
So
yes.
what does that look like? Because I can only imagine how you've combined all of this, your awareness on the energy codes, metaphysics, all of this. So when someone comes to one of your parties and they're spiritually inclined, not
right.
Sony or whatever,
right.
But if they're spiritually inclined, what can they expect?
So, and I do both kinds of parties. I'll do both, but the spiritually inclined, what I'll do is I'll bring them in and we will do an exercise to, I'll ask them, how do they feel about being creative? And how do you feel sitting in front of this canvas, this blank canvas? What comes up for you? So I work with them so that they can get in touch with where and what they're feeling in their body. That's the first step. Then we do some breath work and a particular pose called the mortar march so that we can open that trap door in the brain and release those subconscious beliefs. We do that before we start painting so that people can start with a canvas that is ready to go rather than starting with the thought, I'm not good at this. You know, and the other thing is it's fun. Like if you can just have fun and you don't necessarily want to hang the painting afterwards, I feel like we won. We had a great time. They got to play with color. They got to have a great connection with other people in the room. I mean, I like to tell people, remember when you were in kindergarten or first grade and they busted out the paints and you were so excited. It didn't matter what it looked like. It was the process, the going through, picking out your colors and making the shapes, and that was the fun part. So if people can get reconnected with their inner kindergartner, again, I feel like I've done my work.
Beautiful. It sounds amazing. And I know that feeling of talking to adults that say they're not creative, or they haven't, they've never even given themselves time or space to paint or do any of those things, and how impactful it is to be in that play space. That
Yes.
art and soul play shop is what I'm feeling. And so what are some of the things that people realize about themselves as they let go and paint outside the lines like this?
Well, I love that because people do recognize that the way they approach a blank canvas is sometimes the way they approach life.
Wow.
So when I'm up there and I'm leading people, I've got like 2 or 3 different kinds of folks that show up. People that watch what I'm doing and want to mimic exactly what I'm doing because they're afraid to make a mistake. How many people don't do anything because they're afraid to make a mistake? This workshop is a place that I encourage mistakes. Then there's the folks that don't watch or listen because they already think they have it figured out, and they just start painting away. And then, which is fun because, a lot of times those folks, they're not worried about the judgment. They just want to do what they want to do, and that's fine. And then there's some kind of middle ground where a more moderate approach where they want to listen and kind of hear the instructions, but yet they want to do their own thing. And it's fascinating. And when I have done, I had an idea, but it didn't really come to fruition. Myers-Briggs and all these personality tests. I wanted to apply this workshop in a professional setting with painting because I think it would tell you about your coworkers. But I got busy with ministry, and because it really is like a microcosm of the grand world and how you show up in the world. And the other thing that I always start off with in a paint party is judgment-free zone.
Yeah.
And not necessarily judging each other, judging yourself.
Yes. Yeah, that wouldn't go over so well if you had a room full of critics critiquing each other's paintings.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's why when I was in college, well, of course, I went to the San Francisco Art Institute. And they were a lot freer, a freer school than a university kind of setting. But one of my teachers used to bring a big bottle of Ripple and have distribute a few glasses before we started critiquing, because a few things, the authenticity would show up. And you'd be a little less critical and just a little more like freer. Well, I really like the color, but I have no idea what that's supposed to be, or what. But it was always fun, let me tell you. It was always
maybe a little less critical, a little more freer, and then when you're the one that just painted something that's being critiqued, maybe a little bit more softer or more accepting of the critique.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Where you're, little, you don't have that shield up. that ego shield of,
Yeah.
don't tell me I did it wrong. It's broken down a little so you can kind of let it in and go, yeah, then maybe I could have done that differently.
Well, Cindy, look, we are right here at the end of our time together. I can't believe
Wow.
it whizzed by like that. I with you for much longer, but I always end the show with this question.
Yes.
We've all heard the song, "What the World Needs Now Is Love, Sweet Love." You have your finger on the pulse of what's going on, especially in Salt Lake City in Utah. What does the world need now?
The world needs now is understanding, is feeling like they've been heard, feeling like they've been seen. I've had so many conversations with people that just feel like there's no way to be heard, and they just want to be heard. People want to be heard. We need to listen to each other. We need to just love each other for where we're at. Like, I have friends and family that think very differently from me, generally and politically. And the bottom line is, everybody wants love, to be loved. Everybody wants to be heard. Everybody wants to belong. So I really feel like that's just such an important thing, no matter what's going on out there, that we listen to each other. We love each other.
Yeah.
We help each other through tough times. And we celebrate each other when things go really well.
I love that. I love the idea of ending on the note of celebrating each other. That seems like a really good blessing or prayer for the world right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I have enjoyed getting to know you even more, and even the idea that other people get to see you that aren't in your congregation, but way beyond, is hopefully a blessing to you. So thank you, Cindy. And people can connect with you at spirituallyfree.org.
Yes.
And they can connect with you, find out about your Let It Go and Let It Flow ministry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And when you go to the website, make sure you look at our Be Jedi free workshop this Saturday.
Ooh.
Sign up for it. It's about belonging, inclusivity. It's exactly the conversation we need to be in right now. It's happening this Saturday. So
awesome. Well, thank you, Cindy, and blessings on you and your community.
Thank you to you.
Hopefully I see you around town.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Thank you. And goodbye to everyone. Thank you for watching today. And thank you to the New Thought Media Network, our producers, and the thesatyacenter, who is our sponsor. Peace and blessings.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Free my mind, open my heart with the whispers of truth, to live a conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing edge.